What are the reasons for doing things? How do you set value against yourself? Why are you a good person? If you ever asked yourself any of these questions, you might have been inadvertently thinking about what psychologists refer to as conditions of worth. Hello everyone, my name is Rich Pearson. I'm a professional counsellor and psychotherapist based in Falmouth in Cornwall, and today we're going to be talking about conditions of worth. So, conditions of worth is a phrase that is used by counsellors, psychologists, psychotherapists, and I imagine psychiatrists as well, in order to get an idea of what a person holds valuable to themselves in terms of looking at themselves. A condition of worth is basically saying, why am I worthy of existence? Why am I worthy of other people's appreciation, respect, time? Why am I worth anything? And the interesting thing that you often find with people is sometimes people are very shocked by their own perceived conditions of worth. So let me give you a couple of examples here. A really common condition of worth that we see, especially in the Western world, is you've made a lot of money, therefore you're an important person. You've made a lot of money, therefore you're a good person. You've made a lot of money, therefore you are a successful person. These are all examples of how money is used as a metric for measuring how well you've done in the big game of life. However, as many of us know, having lots of money doesn't necessarily mean that you've done particularly well at things. There are plenty of people out there who are extraordinarily wealthy, who are not the nicest of people, and who really are not, against almost any moral or ethical standpoint, a good person. Having lots of money doesn't necessarily make you good, or, as this should be described, worthy. That doesn't mean to say that, people who have made lots of money aren't exclusively bad, but that's just in this example. Let's take something else. You're a very good-looking person. Imagine that you are a very good-looking person, or you know someone who's a very, very good-looking person. Is that a part of their worth? Is that a condition of them being highly regarded by other people? So if you break it down into a scientific way, then in terms of evolution, yeah, I suppose it is a condition, a well-renowned condition of worth. What we often think of as being traditionally good-looking, which is to say someone who is thin, athletic, strong, or any of those kind of things, are things that we hold in high regard based on 100,000-year-old hunter-gatherer principles of what a human being should be. 100,000 years ago, it didn't matter if someone was good with spreadsheets or video games or doing their taxes or anything else. It just mattered that they could outrun a rhinoceros and could kill a tiger. That was a condition of worth, and that's still how we set things often when we think of things in an aesthetical way in terms of looking at other people. I'm not saying this is everyone, I'm using generalizations, but again, that is a condition of worth that a lot of people will set for themselves, even subconsciously. I mean, we've all met someone who is conventionally good looking to some extent, and we've all at least heard of someone or know someone like this who might think that they deserve preferential treatment because they're good looking. I mean, I'll let you think of anyone that you think of that meets that kind of criteria, but we've all heard of something along those lines. Another condition of worth might be that you give lots of time to charity, that you are a volunteer, that you help out in local non-for-profits or anything like that, and that as such that is something which should generate respect from other people. And in a lot of senses, yeah, rightly so. If you're helping out with things like that, it should be reasonable that you should be respected by other people for doing good and generally nice things. The problem with any of these examples, whether you've made loads of money, whether you've been really generous, or whether you're just a very good-looking person, is that many people often look at that as the end of the line and they just go, that's enough, that's good. Now, if you remember one of the very first videos that I did on this channel, which was about simplicity, this is another example of that. This is where people want things to be really, really simple. I've made loads of money, therefore everyone get off my back. I should be able to do whatever I want. I'm really good looking. That should be enough. I'm really, really generous. I've given loads of my time. That's all that I need to do. Unfortunately, in basically none of these scenarios is that what we measure as being okay. Being a good, ethical, moral person is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job, and it's one that we all fail at. There is no one in the history of time, from Mother Teresa to Florence Nightingale to anyone. No one is a completely good and wonderful person. But we're getting onto a little bit of a tangent here about good people versus the idea of conditions of worth. So the question and the reason that I bring this up on this blog is, what are your conditions of worth? Because it's really important when you're thinking about trying to improve yourself, trying to be a better person, trying to help yourself out of a rut of any kind, if you're depressed, sad, angry, lonely, anything else like that. What are the reasons? Because when you start to look at what a condition of worth is, you start to see the unknown, subconscious kind of yardsticks that you've put in place to measure yourself as to how successful you are. I mean, have you ever done something where you've achieved something and then you've gone, kind of don't feel as good as I hoped I would be? It's entirely possible that you had a subconscious goal somewhere there that was not entirely aligned with what you were actually trying to achieve. And you had subconsciously set yourself a condition of worth that didn't entirely match what you were trying to do, or that the end result of what you were trying to work on wasn't actually the same as what you were trying to achieve. So I heard a really great quote the other day from an actor that was on a podcast, and the guy who was running the podcast said to them, why is it that people go to Hollywood and they end up going crazy and taking loads of drugs and drinking loads and getting into loads of trouble? You know, why is it? Why don't we have an answer for that? And the guy on the other side of the table, who was a really well-known actor, said, I know exactly why that is. It's because all of their dreams came true and it didn't change who they were as a person. And I was absolutely floored by that answer. I think that's the best answer I've ever heard to that question. It explains everything in terms of the conditions of worth that people set themselves. Because you have made loads of money, you have been really respected by people, you may have been, when you think about the three examples I gave earlier, a movie star generally meets pretty much all three of those criteria. They make loads of money, they're generally really good looking, and they're often very generous people who help out in their own communities. But it doesn't make them potentially better people, because for some of them, those things might not have been what they were trying to achieve. For some of them, they might have just been trying to achieve that their father would like them, or that they could have a better relationship with their estranged children, or that, any other kind of thing would come to them as a result of being worthy of whatever metrics they had put in place. So if you think of the video that came before this one about goal setting, these two things work really well together when you think of what are you trying to achieve and why. The what is kind of the goal, the why is the condition of worth. Why are you trying to achieve that? I remember when I was younger, when I was a teenager particularly, I had horrible conditions of worth. I thought the most important thing was that people thought that I was cool. Not that people liked me. I remember thinking that the most important thing was that people thought that I was cool, that people respected me. And in some ways, that did help me in a positive way. I actually became a professional mountain biker because I spent loads of time trying to impress people with the tricks I could do on my bike. And I also really enjoyed what I was doing, but there was a lot of it, if I'm being really honest, which was just because I was trying to impress people. I also remember having some pretty unhealthy attitudes towards women, and I remember thinking that if I, had, like loads of girlfriends, that people would respect me more, because that was a condition of worth that had been put in my mind from watching crap television and movies for all these years. And I ended up treating some people pretty badly in pursuit of that goal, which was aligned with a condition of worth that said, if I'm a teenage stud, people will like me more. I couldn't have been more wrong, and it feels pretty scary to admit that here on the internet, because it's a pretty touchy subject, and I'm now the father of a daughter, and I really have to think about, you know, how I would have felt as myself as a teenager compared to how I feel now. But again, it's an example, and a pretty brutal one, of how a condition of worth tied in with a really quite toxic goal actually didn't achieve any of the things that I was hoping to. In fact, a lot of people just thought I was a bit of a douchebag, and I probably was. So if you're struggling to change your life in any way to make things better, if you're trying to get something off the ground, even if it's just your own self-esteem, stop and ask yourself, what is it that you think of as a condition of your own worth? What metric are you using to measure how worthy you are of existence, of other people's time, of other people's respect? How is it that you're trying to get people to like you? And is that actually the most productive and realistic, and here's the key, authentic thing for you? Because if genuinely you are a Mr. Burns from The Simpsons kind of character, and you just want to make loads of money, and that will genuinely make you happy, then all right. As a counselor and a psychotherapist, I can't argue with that. If that genuinely makes you a happier person, as long as it doesn't really hurt someone else, then I can't argue with that. But there are a whole lot of people out there that spend their lives in the pursuit of not happiness, but money, and then realize that it doesn't actually bring them happiness and contentment and safety and security and any of those other things. So that's a really important question to ask yourself, especially younger people, as you're embarking on these great big journeys of life, careers, and just the wonder of going out into the big wide world. What is it that you're trying to achieve? And if you are just trying to achieve a life that is peppered with wonderful memories and experiences, and you really want to just go traveling and experience different cultures and things like that, then absolutely great. But if you're just doing that to impress people with Instagram stories and things like that, then you really have to ask yourself, is this what I want? And am I doing it for the right reasons? I hope you've enjoyed this video on the conditions of worth, and I hope it explain something about the theory that has helped so many counselors and psychotherapists and clients in our work together. If you'd like any more information or would like to see more content like this, then please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys all tomorrow for the next video. Thanks very much.